All right, so buckle up, everybody, because today we are diving deep into the age-old rivalry, the golf cart showdown club car versus EZGo.
Oh, yeah.
Our listener is in the market for a new cart
Okay.
and sent us a ton of forum threads and articles to sort through.
Wow.
And let me tell you, there are some seriously strong opinions out there.
I bet.
It's like choosing between, you know, Coke or Pepsi,
Yeah.
or maybe even like Ford versus Chevy trucks.
Oh, yeah. I hear that a lot.
People really get fired up about their cars. We
Right.
even saw, I think it was InSmallard78 on The Whole Truth, who actually made that Ford versus Chevy comparison.
Interesting.
And there were some pretty intense debates about some features that I'd never even thought about, like flag sockets. I mean,
Fuel sockets.
yeah.
Yeah. Who knew?
who knew those could be so controversial?
Right.
It is funny, though. You know what I noticed is that, well, everyone has their favorites. A few themes keep coming up over and over again.
Okay. Like what?
Durability is a big one, especially for people living near the coast.
Makes sense.
And then there's performance. You know how well the carts handle hills.
Yeah.
And then, of course, style. Everybody wants a cart that looks good.
Of course.
But it's totally subjective.
Absolutely.
It's all about personal taste.
Well, let's tee off with brand loyalty.
Okay.
Like I mentioned before, we saw at Smallard78 making that Ford versus Chevy comparison.
Right.
And then there was this other user, Matty D MPLS, over on Hackers Paradise.
Yeah.
They actually switched from Club Car to EZGo
Oh, wow.
because they really liked the new EZGo body style.
That's interesting. You know, it seems like brand loyalty with golf carts goes even deeper than with cars.
How so?
Well, think about it. People use their golf carts not just on the course, but also around their neighborhoods, sometimes even for errands.
Yeah, you're right.
So it becomes part of their lifestyle, like an extension of their community.
Yeah, I can see that.
So, that sense of belonging, of being part of like a club car family or an EZGo crew, I think that plays a big role.
Like a badge of honor.
Exactly. But okay, let's get down to brass tacks here. Let's talk about the actual carts.
Sure.
This aluminum versus steel frame debate, that was a big one,
Oh, yeah. Huge, especially for coastal areas.
especially for our listener.
Exactly.
I remember Autobahn 70 and 904 polarized on the Firm Truth. They were really going back and forth about this.
I bet.
And it seems like Club Car, with their aluminum frames,
Mhm.
they get the edge when it comes to rust resistance.
Right. Just because 804 on Reddit mentioned that too.
Yeah, and there's a good reason for that.
Definitely saltwater is brutal on metal.
Oh, yeah.
The salt just eats away at it. And then when you add in things like battery acid spills, which, let's face it, they happen, it just gets even worse. Steel just can't handle that kind of abuse in the long run.
Okay, so aluminum is the way to go if you're near the coast.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yes.
Aluminum forms this protective oxide layer, you see?
Okay.
And that acts as a shield against corrosion, especially from that nasty battery acid.
So aluminum is like the superhero armor for golf carts.
Huh. Yeah, you could say that.
But wait a minute. I also saw some people on Reddit arguing that steel frames are stronger.
Oh, yeah, they do have that going for them.
And then there's Southerman13, who pointed out that some newer EZGo models actually have plastic battery trays.
Oh, wow.
So that throws another wrench into the whole durability debate.
It does make things a bit more complicated, doesn't it?
Yeah, no kidding. So maybe durability isn't a clear win for either brand.
You got it. It really depends on what you're looking for.
All right, well, let's move on to performance then.
Yeah.
Specifically how these carts handle hills.
Okay.
On Talk of the Villages, there was a user elevator man who was all about their EZGo with an AC drive.
AC drive, huh?
Yeah, they said it was amazing for climbing hills. Much better than their club car.
Interesting. For those who aren't familiar with the lingo, AC stands for alternating current,
Uh-huh.
and DC stands for direct current.
Okay.
And generally speaking, AC motors are more powerful. They offer more torque, which is that rotational force you need to get moving, especially uphill.
So more torque equals more hill climbing power. So does that mean EZGo automatically wins in the performance category?
Not necessarily.
How come?
Well, it's important to remember that motor technology has evolved over time. Just
Right.
because a cart is an EZGo doesn't mean it automatically has an AC motor.
Oh, so older models might still have DC motors.
Exactly. And newer club car models could very well have AC motors that outperform their older counterparts.
So it's not just about the brand, but also the specific model and year.
You got it. You got to do your research.
Yeah, well noted. And speaking of real-world performance, there was another user on that forum, Ohio Girl,
Yeah.
and they mentioned that both their EZGo and club car slowed down on hills.
That's a good point. especially since our listener is going to be using their cart in a hilly area.
Exactly. So it seems like hill performance can vary even within the same brand.
Absolutely. You can't just rely on the brand name. You have to look at the specific model and what other users are saying about it.
Okay, user reviews are key.
They are your best friend when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Gotcha. Well, speaking of user reviews and real-world quirks, remember Elevator Man who loved their EZGo?
Yeah.
Well, they also had a club car that had a bit of a brake light issue.
Oh no, what happened?
Apparently, the brake lights only worked if you pressed the pedal in a very specific spot.
Huh? Really?
Yeah, can you imagine trying to figure that out while you're driving?
Oh man, that sounds frustrating, but also kind of funny.
Right. It's those little details, those quirks and annoyances that you don't always get from the marketing materials.
That's why these forums are so valuable. They give you the inside scoop from people who actually own and use these carts.
Exactly. It's like having a direct line to the cart whisperers.
Ah, I love that.
And sometimes those seemingly small details can make a big difference in how you use the cart day to day.
Absolutely. Imagine cruising down a hill trying to warn the cart behind you to slow down, but your brake lights decide to take a break.
Yeah, not good.
It could be dangerous.
All right, so lesson learned, always check the user reviews for any potential quirks, no matter how hilarious they might seem.
It's exacta.
Okay, let's switch gears now and talk about modifications,
All right.
specifically lifts. On Reddit, there's a lot of talk about EZGo TXT lifts being the favorite because they maintain the original shocks and springs,
Okay.
unlike some aftermarket lifts for club car.
Interesting. So, for those who don't know, lifts are basically like high heels for your golf cart.
Okay.
They give you that extra ground clearance, which can be great for off roading or just, looking cool.
So you're saying my golf cart needs a lift to strut its stuff?
Maybe not. It depends on what you're going to be using it for. Are you sticking to paved paths or do you plan on going off road?
Okay.
And then there's rod quality to consider. Some lifts, especially the ones that don't use the original suspension, they can make the ride pretty bumpy.
Good to know.
Huh.
So lifts are cool, but they're not a one-size-fits-all solution.
Exactly. You have to think about your needs and how you're going to be using the cart.
Right. And speaking of modifications, PDSW mentioned their Icon cart having four-wheel disc brakes.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Is that something worth considering?
Definitely, safety features are important. Disc brakes generally offer better stopping power than drum brakes, especially in wet conditions.
So if you're going to be driving in hilly areas or places with unpredictable weather.
Yeah, disc brakes are probably a good idea.
Okay, safety first. All right, so we've covered durability, performance, quirks, and modifications.
We're making good progress.
It's like we're building the ultimate golf cart checklist.
We are covering all the bases. And speaking of bases, we can't forget about aesthetics.
Oh, you're right. We need a cart that looks good, too.
Exactly. You want a cart that reflects your personality.
Of course, style is important.
It is. So let's dive into the world of golf cart fashion, shall we?
Let's do it. So, when it comes to looks, these forum threads were all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of opinions, but no clear winner. I remember that Hacker's Paradise thread.
Yeah.
There was a lot of debate about which cart looked better, and it seemed like in that particular comparison, the club car came out on top.
It's funny how subjective style can be, right? What one person thinks is sleek and modern, another person might think is boring.
Exactly.
Like, remember Golden Buff's comment?
Uh-huh.
They said the EZGo looked like a bug with wheels.
Ouch.
Yeah, not a fan.
But hey, to each their own.
Exactly. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
So true. So when it comes to design, what are we looking at here?
Well, Club Car often goes for a more rounded, curvy look,
Okay.
while EZGo tends to be more angular and boxy.
Interesting. It's almost like those car comparisons we were talking about before.
A Club Car is like the smooth lines of a Ford.
And EZGo is the ruggedness of a Chevy truck.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And those design choices aren't random,
What do you mean?
Well, they often reflect the brand's image and who they're trying to appeal to.
Okay.
Like Club Car with those smoother lines might be going for a more refined, luxurious vibe, while EZGo with that bolder, more utilitarian design could be targeting people who prioritize function and durability.
So it's like choosing between a tailored suit and a rugged pair of jeans.
Yeah. That's exactly. Both stylish in their own way, but for different occasions and personalities.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it's all about personal preference.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What makes you feel good when you're behind the wheel?
Okay, so we've covered Club Car and EZGo,
The big two.
right? But what about some of those other brands that people mentioned, like Yamaha and Icon?
Oh, yeah, those are good ones, too.
I think it was Brick Clark 904 and PDSW on The Whole Truth.
Yeah.
They brought those up.
It's good to explore all the options.
Definitely.
Yamaha is known for having really quiet engines.
That's nice.
Harrison Mitch mentioned that.
Yeah.
And then Icon has a reputation for being super comfortable.
Oh, that's important too.
Definitely. Bricklark 904 said that their Icon cart rode like a dream.
Well, it's like finding a hidden gem.
You got it.
You know, a brand that you might not have considered before, but turns out to be perfect for you.
Exactly. So don't be afraid to think outside the box.
Okay, now, no matter what brand you choose, there's one thing you can't forget about.
What's that?
Battery care.
Oh, yeah, that's crucial. Boataholic on The Whole Truth actually asked about that.
Yeah.
It's something that a lot of people overlook, but it can really make a difference in the lifespan of your cart.
Right. It's like forgetting to change the oil in your car.
Exactly. It might run fine for a while, but eventually it's going to catch up with you.
So what are some of the things we should be doing to take care of our batteries?
Well, Autobahn 70 had some great advice.
Okay, like what?
They recommended using watering kits and distilled water.
Okay.
And they even shared a link to a handy watering jug on Amazon.
Oh, that's convenient.
Yeah. So watering your batteries regularly helps prevent them from drying out.
Okay.
And using distilled water is important because it doesn't have any minerals that can build up and cause problems.
So it's like giving your batteries a spa treatment.
Haha, pretty much.
All right, so we've gone from brand loyalty and frame materials to hill performance brake lights and now battery care.
We've covered a lot of ground.
Who knew there was so much to think about when choosing a golf cart?
It's a lot more complicated than it seems on the surface, right?
Yeah, no kidding. But that's the beauty of a deep dive.
Exactly. We get to explore all the nuances and uncover all the hidden gems of knowledge.
We're like golf cart detectives,
Ah, love it.
sifting through the clues to find the perfect ride.
Well said. And remember, this whole deep dive is for you, our listener.
That's right.
So let's shift gears and focus on what matters most.
Your needs.
Exactly. Your priorities and your vision for the perfect golf cart.
Right. We've given you the tools. Now it's time to build your masterpiece.
What are the things that stand out to you the most?
What features or factors are most important to you?
Think about where you're going to be using your cart, how often you'll be using it, and what kind of terrain you'll be driving on.
Are you sticking to paved paths or are you planning on going off-road?
And of course, don't forget about your budget.
Yeah, that's always a big one.
It's like planning a dream vacation.
Okay.
You have to consider your destination, your itinerary, and how much you're willing to spend.
I like that analogy. So choosing a golf cart is kind of like planning a trip.
It is. You have to do your research and make sure you're making the right choices.
Now, throughout our deep dive, we saw people mentioning specific models within the EZGo and Club Car lineups.
Oh, yeah.
Names like RXV Precedent and Onward kept coming up.
Right. People were pretty passionate about those particular models.
And that brings us to an important point.
What's that?
The model itself might be even more important than the overall brand.
That's a great point. You could be all about EZGo's reputation for durability.
Yeah.
But if you choose an older model with a DC motor, you might not get the hill climbing power you're looking for.
Makes sense.
Or you could love the sleek look of a club car, but if you end up with a model that has a rough suspension, those bumpy rides could get old fast.
So it's like choosing the right trim level on a car.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You might get all the basic features with the base model, but those higher end trims offer those little extras that really enhance the experience.
Right. So you've done your homework on the brands. Now it's time to get specific and look at the individual models.
Exactly. It's like zooming in on a map.
Okay.
We've looked at the big picture. Now it's time to find the perfect address for your dream golf cart. And remember, each model is going to have its own pros and cons, its own user reviews, and maybe even a few of those quirks we were talking about.
Right.
So don't skip this step.
Do your research.
Exactly. It's the difference between making an informed decision and just winging it.
All right. So what's next?
Well, you have all the knowledge about the brands, you understand the key features, and you know what's important to you. So the next step is to dive into the world of specific models.
Another deep dive.
You got it. We're in this together.
From casual browsers to informed shoppers.
And who knows what other hidden gems we'll uncover.
It's like an archaeological dig for golf cart knowledge. It really is like we're on an archaeological dig for the perfect golf cart.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
So as we dig deeper, what are some of the things we should be looking for when comparing these specific models?
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. You know, we've got the brands narrowed down, but now it's time to get down to the nitty-gritty.
Exactly. So first off, don't be afraid to really get into the details.
Okay.
Go beyond those flashy brochures and those marketing slogans.
I get the real scoop.
Exactly. Look at the user reviews Check out the spec sheets.
Okay.
And even try to find the owner's manuals if you can.
Oh, wow. Really get in there.
Yeah, the more information, the better. When you're looking at those specs, pay close attention to things like the motor type.
Okay, AC versus DC.
Exactly. What's the battery capacity? How far can you go on a single charge?
Range is important.
And then how about the suspension system? Is it designed for a smooth ride or is it built for off-roading?
Okay, so it's all about matching those specs to your needs.
Precisely. It's like comparing different types of coffee beans.
Okay.
They all make coffee, but some are stronger, some are smoother, some have a more complex flavor profile.
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean.
You got to find the one that suits your taste.
And in this case, your golf cart needs.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to ask questions.
Yeah.
Reach out to dealerships. Talk to people who already own the models you're considering.
Get that firsthand experience.
Exactly. The more information you gather, the better decision you'll make.
So it's like putting together a puzzle.
I like that.
You know, finding all the right pieces to create the perfect picture.
And remember, this is an investment.
Okay.
A golf cart is more than just a vehicle. It's a lifestyle choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's about enhancing your leisure time, connecting with your community, and maybe even showing off a little bit with your stylish ride.
So it's about the whole experience.
Exactly. It's about enjoying the journey.
Well said. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's your final piece of advice for our listener?
Take your time, do your research, and most importantly, have fun with it.
Yeah, this should be an exciting process.
It should. You're about to get a new golf cart.
That's right. And hey, once you make your decision, send us a picture.
Oh, yeah, we want to see what you end up with.
We've come a long way together on this journey.
Yeah. We have. From casual browsers to informed shoppers.
And who knows, maybe we'll even bump into each other out on the course someday.
That would be awesome. Until then, happy karting.
Happy karting. And to all our listeners out there, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of golf carts.
We hope you learned a thing or two.
And that you're feeling confident and ready to make your decision.
Remember, knowledge is power.
So stay curious, keep learning, and keep on rolling.